Alright, students, today we are studying 7-1. Find areas of parallelograms and rhombuses. So first let's refer to the fact that quadrilaterals are four-sided shapes. And we're going to start off with a parallelogram, and the rules for a parallelogram are opposite sides have the same measure and opposite sides are parallel. If you don't remember what parallel means, it means the sides opposite of it, like this down here, they would never run into each other. Okay? Now look, rhombus is all sides have the same measure. So where a parallelogram, just the opposite sides have the same measure, for a rhombus, all four sides would. And the opposite sides are parallel. Now to find the area, it is equal to the base times the height. The base is what it sits on, and the height is not always a side, it's how high this thing goes. Okay? So A equals B times H, and you don't need to put a times symbol between those variables. We're going to start by some practice today. And if it's base times height, this isn't going to be so bad, guys. You just do 50 feet, which is the base, times 100 feet, which is the height. And so it's 50 times 100. And then when you multiply that together, you get 5,000, and you write feet because that's the distance around, but then it's squared because it's everything inside as well. Area includes all of it. Now for the next one, base is on inside this time, 7 meters. The height, base is 12, times the height of 7. So 12 times 7, which equals 84. It's meters this time, and it's squared because it's area. On the next one, you do 9 as the base times 8.6 as the height. So 9 times 8.6. I might even put a parentheses around it just to save the confusion on the dots. And you get 77.4, and then it's centimeters, and it's squared because it's area. Okay? Now look, they don't show you pictures on the next set, but you just still multiply the base times the height. So on the first one, it would be 30 times 15.5, and that would equal the area, which is 30 times 15.5, and you get 465, and that's meters squared. Okay? Look at the next one. Base times height would be 18 times 2.5, or 2.5. You could type it in as 2.5 if you want. Alright, so then that's 18 times 2.5, or 2.5, and that equals, I'll just put it down here, 45, and it's inches this time, and it's still squared because it's area. Now look, this is going to trick you. One's in yards and one is in feet. So let's convert one, alright? On this one, there are 3 feet in every yard, so this is the same as 3 times 3, which is 9 feet. Now we can find the answer here. So then it would be 9 feet times 20 feet, base times height, 20 times 9, and that would equal 180 feet squared. Now if you wanted to convert that to yards, and you could, you would divide by 3, and 180 divided 3 would give you 60 yards squared. Okay? 60 yards squared. Let's go on down to the next one. On this one, now we're going to work backwards. Okay? Area, reminder, is equal to base times height. In this case, we don't have the base, but we have the height. So the formula can be written as base, which we're trying to find, is equal to area divide height. Okay? So that would be base is equal to 105, divide the height of 7. Okay? And so you would just do 105, divide 7, and that is 15. And it's only 15 centimeters because we're doing distance of a side. B equals 15 centimeters. Same for the next one. On this one, we are trying to find the height. We have the base. So the formula for that would be height is equal to the area divide the base. Okay? And that would be H equals, up here, 216 divide the base of 18. So you do 216 divide 18, and you get 12. So that would equal 12, and in this case it is inches. So h equals 12 inches for the distance of the height. Okay, we're going to the next page. And on the next page now you have word problems. Okay? On the first word problem it says Benjamin's garden is shaped like a rhombus. The area of his garden is 336 feet or square feet. So we have area, all right? The height of the rhombus that represents his garden is 16 feet. What is the base of the rhombus? So you're doing this formula. You're doing base is equal to the area divide the height. And that equals, in this case, 336, right here. 336 divide 16. So then you would do 336 divide 16. And you get 21. So the base is equal to 21 feet. Okay? Now, let's go on over to this one. A rhombus has a base of 5.2 meters and a height of 4.5 meters. The rhombus is divided into two identical triangles. What's the area of each? Well, if we find the area of the whole thing, we can divide by 2 and get the area of each triangle. So first we would do 5.2 times 4.5, okay? And then we would divide by 2. So let's go ahead. You can even calculate it like this. Let's see here. So you do 5.2 divide 4.5 and then divide by 2. And you would get this answer here. We could change that to, let's see here. Oh, look what I typed in wrong. Okay. 5.2, I saw someone come in the door and got distracted, times 4.5, then divide by 2. That looks better, doesn't it? So then you would get 11.7 meters for each triangle. And it's squared because it was area. Okay? Now let's go on down to some information on guitars. Sarah applies the Pearl guitar fret markers to her fretboard as shown. Okay. Each fret marker is in the shape of a parallelogram, and each of the 3 bottom fret markers has a base that measures 52.5 millimeters and a height of 6 millimeters. What's the area of each of the bottom fret markers? Okay, so let's see. Each fret marker is in the shape of a parallelogram. Each of the 3 bottom fret markers has a base that measures 52.5 and a height of 6 millimeters. So just to clarify, each one of these bottom 3 here is what we're talking about for fret markers, and each of them has a base of 52.5 millimeters and a height of 6 millimeters. All you're going to do is 52.5 times 6. And when you calculate that, you get 312 inches, and its area, so we write squared. Okay? Now, look at this part where it says be precise, though. A rectangular guitar case has a unique rhombus design on the top that has a height of 13 inches and a base of 2 feet. What is the area of the design in square inches? So first you have to change this to inches. So we have 13 inches. That's times, there are 12 inches in 2 feet. And 2 feet, there would be 24. So 13 times 24. Okay, 13 times 24, and that equals, take a look, 312. 312 inches squared. Oh, and this was supposed to be 315. Make that correction. Not 312. Okay, and that was millimeters, not inches. Millimeters squared. My apologies, guys. All right. On the next one, Tony says that he does not have enough information to find the area of this parallelogram. Is he correct? Look here. Do we have the height given? The answer is no. So, he is correct. We need the height. Okay? Let's go to this one. Rhombus A has a base of 7 inches and an area of 35 square inches. Rhombus B has a base and height that are 3 times the base and height of the rhombus A. Find the area of rhombus B and compare it to the area of rhombus A and explain. Okay, so take a look, guys. First, let's go with A. We have 7 inches, and then the area, though, is 35 inches, so A equals BH. What we're trying to find, though, in this case, is the height, and so we're going to say A divide the base equals the height, and we're going to do 35 divide 7 equals the height, and 35 divided 7 equals 5 inches. Okay? Now let's look at the next one, rhombus B. So this was A, we'll just circle it. Now we have B. On rhombus B, it has a base and height that are 3 times the base and height of rhombus A. Alright, so let's go with the base and the height. We're going to multiply 7 times 3 and get 21. We're going to multiply 5 times 3 and we're going to get 15. Okay? So the base and height are each now 3 times larger. And if we're going to find the area, so if we were to do 21 times 15 for the base and height, we would get 315. Okay? Now that's very interesting. So we get 315, and the area of the first one was 35. So let's just compare those two, 315 and 35 inches squared. And I'm going to compare them by doing 315 divide 35, and let's see if I can get a ratio out of this. So 315 divide 35 equals 9. So this is a 9-to-1 ratio between the two. So even though each side is 3 times larger, it is 9 times larger in area. Now let's move on and look at the next part. But if we want to make sure to write that, make sure you wrote that it's 9 times larger area. So let's go to 15. A modern office building in Hamburg, Germany is shaped like a parallelogram, and the front of the building has a base of 123 meters and a height of 23 meters. What is the area of the front of the building? Well, guys, area is equal to base times height. So you would just do 123 times 23. Okay, so when you do that, you get 123 times 23, right? And that equals 2,829. And that's the area in meters squared. Look at the next one. Dan drew a parallelogram that has an area of 144 square inches to represent a section of the sidewalk. Draw an example of a parallelogram Dan could have drawn. Alright, well, he has a parallelogram that has an area of 144 square inches. So if we were to draw a parallelogram that has that, you could have a square, because if I were to pick a number that times itself would give 144, it would be 12 times 12. And squares are rhombuses, but they have 4 perfect right angles. Now there's other correct answers you could have done here as well, but hey, we might as well pick one of the easier ones, right? Another one you could have done is you could have done a parallelogram, and in this one you could have said something along the lines of a height of 10 inches. You could have said a base of 14.4, because when you multiply those together you would get 144. So you could have done that one as well. Last question. The area of a parallelogram is 42 square inches, and the base of the parallelogram is 6 inches. So we're going to work this out. The normal formula is area is equal to base times height, but in this one we are trying to solve. We already got the area of 42. We're trying to solve for the height. So we would put 6 for base and h for height, and we'll write it out like an algebra problem where we do the division and divide 6 from both sides. This cancels out, bring down h equals, and 42 divided 6 is 7 inches.